great. Take a minute and think about, in your experience, a conflict that you recently had. Maybe it's related to one of the themes of the images behind me. Or maybe it's something in your personal life, in your marriage, in family. And then take a second now, friends, and think about the emotions that conflict calls up in you. You feel anger, frustration, fear. And take it one step further and think about where the physical sensations are associated with that emotion in your body. For me, it's my chest, top of my chest, and in my throat. Now take a deep breath and let it go. I come to this talk with the perspective of a district superintendent, a regional leader, and I've had the privilege to support and witness and work with the superintendents in my region as they have encountered conflict. And the way that we handle conflict, when we think about the theme of one of the themes of this conference is leading for all. And I'd argue that in order to lead for all, we also have to approach conflict and think about conflict differently. There's no doubt there's increasing conflict in our society, and we've noticed that there is a brittleness in the adults that we serve, both inside of our walls, in our employees, as well as in the communities that we face. Angry parents or community members. We're continually put in positions of having to react to conflict. And some of us have seen this impact our boardrooms. What does this have to do with the Buffalo Bills? Oh, any Kansas City fans in here? Probably not a lot. But isn't Josh Allen great? This talk needed a parable, a simple parable. And in 2019, I bought a house on Big Tree Road, 1931 Sears Roebuck Kit house, and it was half a mile from Highmark Stadium. And at the time that I bought it, I had no idea what the significance of that location would be. I moved in on a Friday, and on that Sunday, the Bills played the Bengals, and I met all my neighbors who were out in their yards, half in the bag by 10:30 in the morning. They offered me beers cheerfully, and they said, they're selling parking in their front yard. And my daughter, my youngest daughter, Jill, who's here, she's entrepreneurial, and she said, we could do a business, Dad. So Bills Mafia are legend, and I was not enthusiastic about this parking idea. I didn't want the lawn torn up or the liability or the public urination. And in hindsight, I'd just gone through the death of both of my parents and a divorce within about 4 years. And that kind of pressure, it leads us sometimes to be less open. So my answer was absolutely not. In our work as school superintendents, we've been through so many conflicts that are so much more significant than a dispute about a business of parking with a teenage daughter. We face incensed parents, angry outbursts at our board meetings, labor disputes, and often I find myself swimming in conflicts that consume attention and burn energy and take us off of the focus on supporting our young people and their learning. And notice that when we carry this responsibility, how many times do we see the conflict that we experience and feel that the resolution lies in the change of behavior in the other? So, in other words, they need to stop acting this way. The resolution lies in them changing, not in me. And you notice something there? When we do that, we're othering them. We're making them less. And instead, we need to look in the mirror. It's human to wall up behind our convictions and feel right and expect a change in behavior in others. But if we cling to that notion that the resolution to conflict lies in the behavioral change in the other, we lose the opportunity for growth. that could be staring us in our face, right in the mirror. And not in the mirror like this guy. In our roles, it's way too easy to get caught up in ego and certainty of our beliefs. And so this presents a dilemma because we need conflict. We need confidence in order to engage conflict. And yet that very confidence of perspective might sometimes undermine the resolution to a conflict. And when we face it, we need to seek a resolution to serve all. It's also a little bit of a problem to think about it as winning a conflict, really for two reasons. Sometimes a win might lead to shame in the other. And no one ever comes to growth from a standpoint of shame. And also, we may win a conflict only to sow the seeds for that conflict showing up in a new form in some other dimension. So back to Bill's parking. My daughter swore that she would clean up the lawn, and I was not persuaded. She promised to give all the money for college, to focus all the money in her business to college. So I started to soften my positional posture a little bit. And I began to see that we could look at maybe an opportunity to do something here that might be kind of cool. Jill came up with a business slogan, Easy Out Parking, and we bought a Bluetooth speaker, and also so that she could play pump-up music for the fans. And for all of the faults of Buffalo, it feels like a neighborhood. And my house became kind of part of the block party. We got regulars. We met football fans from all over the world. And Jill made money for Geneseo, and she continues to come back from college to do this, and her two sisters join her sometimes. And most important, it became our thing. It became something that we could do together that would give us good stories to tell. And the lawn got torn up, and maybe a little watered by Bills fans. But it rallies back with a little bit of raking and overseeding. And I could always grow grass. I only get to raise my kids once. My dad, who once ran human resources at SUNY Fredonia, he used to be fond of telling me that administration's a contact sport. We can't take the bumps and bruises that we experience personally. And as an Irishman with working class roots, he was a huge fan of Tip O'Neill. And he always would quote Tip O'Neill saying, "Never forget that your enemy today could very well be tomorrow's ally." And these tips require self-discipline. Viktor Frankl, who from his experience in a Nazi concentration camp, he says that between the stimulus and response, there's a space, and in that space is our power to choose our response. And in our response lies our growth and our freedom. So that discomfort that we feel in conflict, it's just a feeling. And if we let ourselves try to see a broader panoramic perspective, we may well begin to recognize the humanity in the other, their fears, their suffering, their humanity. And at the end of the Bills game, the often disappointed Bills fans trudge back to their cars and pull out of my yard, and I'm reminded of Ram Dass and his quote that we're all just walking each other home. And he was talking about coming home inside of ourselves. And he was talking about how we find our wholeness by fully seeing another. As servant leaders, we can build our leadership upon that foundation of authenticity, and I'm hopeful enough to believe that as superintendents, we might just help improve this world. Go Bills.